Anthony Clark is running for Congress. He's a candidate in Illinois' 7th District, and he's awesome. He's one of the original Justice Democrats. He's also a teacher, and he went on 30Rev, and you're about to see why it is that he was so impressive, and he was an original Justice Democrat.
Cannabis is a gateway drug. It opens you up to, and I couldn't disagree more. I do not believe cannabis is a gateway drug. Cannabis is a medicine. So if you're not aware, I'm running for Congress. I'm running for office. I'm a teacher. I run my own nonprofit. I know clearly, I think we're all old enough to remember, Bill Clinton, when he was asked about his cannabis use, and what did he say? I did not inhale. And for me, again, I'm not a special person. I'm just a normal, everyday individual that I think is just tired of status quo, tired of the oppression that exists, and I'm fighting back. But I think if we really want to make change, and if we have a platform, you just have to be courageous with your platform. You just have to be yourself. So I think I have to be just as open about my cannabis use, because lying to individuals, I think, plays a direct role in enabling status quo, in enabling, again, the oppressors, the top 1% to remain. We have to empower ourselves. We have to educate ourselves. So I don't hide this at all. I tell people on a daily basis, cannabis saved my life. It continues to save my life. I feel like we need more individuals that aren't riding the current wave that exists of, neoliberalism and centrism, and we can't rock the boat. We have to, no, this is war, and I'm going to be on this side, no, not the right side. I'm not right side. I use my right hand. I'm going to be on this side. This is part of that, legalization with a focus on racial justice is a direct part of building greater equality in our country. So just for me, I just think it's extremely important, to be honest, as a political candidate.
That is bold. There's not a single Democratic strategist who would tell you, oh yeah, go smoke some weed on camera. They'd be like, are you insane? Now, we have had, famously, Democratic candidates who've admitted to smoking marijuana, but it's always, framed as like, well, it was in the past, and in the case of Bill Clinton, he was like, and I didn't inhale. And everybody's like, what? But yeah, there's a tradition of Democratic politicians admitting to smoking it, but obviously not smoking it now, not doing it currently, not being regular users, because they would think that's too politically risky. And also, it's still technically against the law. But, this is bold, and this is brave, and this is somebody being, ruthlessly honest about who they are. And I'm of the belief that it takes leadership to admit stuff like that really is, even though we have some states that have legalized it recreationally now, that really is still politically incorrect. Because then what's going to happen? Definitely the Democratic establishment turns around and they look at him like, oh, well, Anthony Clark, unserious candidate. Why? Because he's honest? Because he's more honest than you? All those people who would go after him for it, these are all people who have their own vices. They might not be open about them, but okay, that just makes them less honest. Maybe at night they have some tequila, they have some whiskey, they have some scotch, whatever it might be. They have a couple beers or some wine. This is not that much different from that, and I think that that's his point in doing this. His point is to try to destigmatize it, to humanize the people around this. The fact that we have so many people locked up and their lives are effectively ruined because they did the functional equivalent of selling some whiskey or drinking some whiskey, that's a moral abomination. And when it comes to fixing that, who are you going to trust? I'll tell you that this makes me trust Anthony Clark to definitely take this issue head on and to be a ruthless, staunch advocate for the proper position, which is legalizing marijuana, decriminalizing beyond that at the very least, and then freeing all the nonviolent drug offenders. So I love this stuff, and you can see why Justice Democrats, even though we had a massive, massive monetary disadvantage because we're not corrupt, you could see why so many Justice Democrats ended up winning and ended up doing better than anybody originally predicted that we would do. It's because we looked for and ran candidates who were one of a kind, unique, powerful, special voices, leaders. Now, Anthony Clark was not fortunate enough to win the first time around, but he's running again now, and he's making a splash. So if you support him, by all means, I'll leave the link to donate to him in the video description box if you want to do that, and then I'll also leave the link to the longer interview with Thirtyrev if you want to watch that as well. But awesome candidate, amazingly bold move here, and I hope to see more of this, man, with politicians kind of coming out of the closet with their recreational cannabis use, if you will, because I know from personal experience that this does have an impact on people like my mom, for example. My mom's not really a judgmental person, but it's not like legalizing marijuana is on the top of her list of things she's in favor of. But if you show my mom, oh, hey, here's a candidate who's running for office, here's what he's advocating for, and he recreationally smokes marijuana too, and she listens to him talk for an extended period of time, she'll be like, well, he's pretty reasonable, so yeah, sure, I agree with that, I agree with him. This is destigmatizing, and this is really important. Now, I know a lot of you guys in my audience, you might be like, well, okay, but it's not that amazing to me. Right, but that's because you've immersed yourself in an environment where you look at something like this and you're like, well, yeah, that's pretty cool, or that's whatever. But most people in the country are not thinking like you are in that respect, and that's an important point. And he's trying to move the discussion and shift the Overton window on this. So I give him massive credit, and I wish him the best of luck in his race.